I'm going to show you how to make floating shelf without the use of brackets, and this is what I made. And so this is the basic structure of this, that I have a smaller piece, I have a bigger piece, both are connected through these dowels, and the smaller piece will be connected to the wall using these screws at two places. Using this approach, we can avoid the use of brackets, and this will look like a shelf that goes something like this. If you're wondering, no, this is not going to look like this. I'm going to push it forward once this is attached, so that way it will look like a one continuous piece of block. I just wanted to show you the final product that I'm going to make today, and that will be helpful to visualize. So I'll now keep it aside and start working with the. So yes, so for this project you will need two pieces. You can get one piece and cut it out yourself. What I did was I got this cut at a local lumber shop, and so I don't have to cut it myself. This should look something like this, so as already shown before, these will have holes, this will have holes, these two will be connected together using dowels, and this goes into the stud. It's a fairly simple design, and let's see how this turns out. So the first step to this project is prepping. If you can see, these two pieces, they are misaligned. So the shorter one, this one is longer than the thicker piece. So first step that I'll do is I'll make sure both are in the same line, so that when we drill holes, both of them are properly aligned. Another thing that I'm going to do is sand these two pieces, because we are going to stain it later. So sanding is one of the required steps, which we'll do it at the stage itself. So yeah, now you can see the edges are lining up, and I sanded the both sides of both the pieces, so that way I'm going to clean it with the cloth. After I'm done everything, I'll show you. The last step is to stain it, so that will be useful at that time. So we have done the first step. I used this sander with the sanding paper in front of it, and I used a jigsaw to cut the excess piece. So using these two tools, I was able to complete my prepping. I'll meet you in the second step. So in the second step of this project, we are going to do some markings and have a plan for us. Basically, I want my dowels to come till this point, which gives it enough depth in the bigger piece, so that it won't cause a lot of shakiness. I'm going to drill like 4 holes. Plan is to have at least 4 dowels inserted, equidistant. That way it has enough it can sustain enough weight. I don't know how much will be the maximum weight it can handle, but for small show pieces, for photographs, photo frames, this should be more than enough. And I made a marking out of this painter's tape. So this is where in the second wood, this is where I want my drill to stop. Then this is a 1x4 one drill bit, and then I'm going to use a 3x8 drill bit over those initial markings. And the reason is these are sharp. This one is a sharp one. I can drill easily. It's like a pilot hole, and this one will just make sure that it's a bigger hole. Why 3x8? It all depends on the dowel thickness. So once you have decided on dowel thickness, you have to come up with these drill bit. So these are this is a 1/2 inch dowel. So that's why you see a little smaller hole, 3x8. Then I'm going to sand this dowel a little bit to make sure that it fits into those holes. Yeah, and I'm going to use a cobalt driller. This I got it recently. So yes, another step involved is to cut this dowel to make sure it fits into it goes through both the wood pieces, and it still have enough depth in the second piece to give it sturdiness. So I made my markings accordingly. I marked like 4 points on this dowel which are equidistant, which will make sure my dowel will be this big, and I have to drill the holes accordingly. So yes. So yes, now we have completed the drilling. You can see these are through and through holes, 4 holes, and these are corresponding 4 holes, but these are not through and through. This is the part that goes like this with dowel in between. So next step in the project is to sand the dowel a little bit, because these are 1/2 inch and the hole I drilled was of 3x8 inches. We'll have to sand this a little bit, but not a lot, because if you overdo it, then these will go through easily, and it will be like it won't be that stable. One technique I learned through one of the online videos was to put the dowel in the drill, how I'm showing, and then using a sandpaper in your hand, just run the drill. That way it's very easy to sand this. Let me show you. So what you do is you take sandpaper in your hand, you place the dowel in your hand, and you run the drill. So pretty neat way of doing it. I don't have a reference to the video I saw, but it was a very neat trick that I picked up from one of the videos. Then you can reverse the side and sand the other way around. That way we'll have a good sanded dowel. Hopefully this will fit into it. Let me try. Yeah, now I've sanded these 4 dowels and they fit perfectly well. So I'll show you later on that part, but they fit perfectly well. Now two steps are remaining in this project. One is to drill two holes 16 inches apart, and the reason for that is I want to attach this part to the wall stud. Generally, at least in my home, they are 16 inches apart. They can be 16 inches or 24 inches apart. Most of the places that I know are 16 inches apart, and I cross-checked. You can also cross-check if you are making this on your own. That way, with two screws, this gets attached to the wall, and from these two get attached using these dowels, 4 dowels, and that way we have a floating shelf without anchor or brackets, whatever you call them. And the second step that is remaining is staining them. So once stained, we'll have something similar to I showed you initially. So something like this after staining, and once on the wall, unless until you look very minutely, you will not be able to figure out that there is a that it's joined. You won't be able to figure out this joint unless until you see very close. So now we are almost towards the end of the project. See, all 4 dowels are connected. I just need to press these two together so that this goes inside. Before doing that, I need to actually attach this to the wall. This and these are 2 holes that I drilled. These are for screwing this to the wall, and I marked them 16 inches apart so that I can drill them into the studs. One problem I faced was one of the screws that I was trying to attach got stripped, so I had to have another hole, and corresponding to that I had to do another hole. So yeah, these are the challenges that you face when you do some projects at home. Last step remaining is staining these 2 boards, and then we are done. Hi all, now I have completed the staining of the shelf and I've installed it in the powder room. So let me show you the finished product. It's holding a couple of showpieces and I'm pretty happy how it turned out to be. It was a very educative experience for me, as it was my first video of a DIY project, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it.